welcome back to Bourbon on the Brain. And today we're going to do something that is really special to me. We're going to be comparing two of Barrell Bourbon's batches. We're going to be taking a look at batch 21 and we're going to be taking a look at batch 26. Now, one of the reasons why these are important to me is because these are one of the first bourbons that I really got into on my own. Nobody recommended them to me. I just kind of found them through my own exposure, and I really, really enjoy them. So we're going to be taking a look at those. I do apologize for, as you can see, the sun. The blinds in my room are in the process of being fixed. And this is the only time of day that I can actually record where there is no noise in my house aside from the occasional dog noises. So it is what it is. That being said, I have Barrell 21 and Barrell 26 on the desk in front of me, and I'm going to be trying them as we go, and we're going to be taking a look at and seeing what's going on. So without further ado, let's take a look. So I have 21 right here. There we go, nice and focused. So, I got both of these as part of the vault release that they do every once in a while, where some of their more exclusive or older releases are available, as they tend to be limited runs each time they release a new one. So I went ahead and got 21, 20, and 26. And they're all drastically different. It's really interesting. So we're going to be trying them out. So if you want to take a listen, I will go ahead and pour. Perfect. Gonna get that camera back up. All right, so as you can see, I have pulled up the information on batch 21 from their website. If you've seen some of my reviews, you know ahead of time I do like to go off of what the website says because it kind of gives a baseline for what the expectations for the bourbon is supposed to be, and then I'll give it sort of my own spin on it based off of what I'm able to pull from it. So right off of the bat, let's give it a little try. Very nice. So, nice thing about Barrell is they're very informative as to their mash bills, the information about them, where they get their bourbon. So at the top, right off the bat, a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys distilled and aged in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana. 10 to 14 years, white oak barrels, crafted and bottled in Kentucky, 106.34. Most of their stuff is cask strength. So it's going to have a little bit more of a burn to it, even at some of their lower proofs, as I still feel a nice warmth moving throughout my body. It's won a few awards. Awards for me are not necessarily an indication of the quality of the bourbon. I think the whiskey awards in the U.S., especially the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, can be a little bit misleading. As an example, right off of the bat that comes to mind, there's the Iron Republic Brandy Finished, which is won, I think, in 2022 or 2023 for Best Bourbon. And most people that are bourbon drinkers are not going to enjoy it. It's a very good and very well-crafted bourbon, don't get me wrong. But in terms of pure taste, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way because it's brandy finished. And it does not necessarily mix homogeneously with bourbon like normal bourbon drinkers would think. So it can be a little misleading. So flavor notes. I'm not going to necessarily read through this. They provide a lot of information in here, and if you want to take the time to read it, I'm sure you probably already have. The links for these are going to be in the bio. So I'm not going to necessarily go through and just burn through all of this stuff. I will, however, read what it says for neat, because I do find this a little bit interesting. So on the nose, it opens with a tangy blackberry note supported by a dry oak character. Blonde tobacco, sunflower seed, iced tea, and cardamom are gradually joined by a growing peppermint note. Sweeter pastry notes such as cider, donut, apricot Danish, and Turkish delights can be found. While not as floral as some batches, the nose is lifted by creme vette, milkweed, pollen, and peach skin. Slate and ginger ale offer a refreshing counterbalance. All right, so here's my thing. Who in their right mind is going to be able to pull all of this from a taste? I've met a few master tasters across multiple industries, including wine, bourbon, even some tequila master tasters. I'm sorry. No. Just no. You're not going to pull all of those things. It's just not possible. No palate, with maybe one or two exceptions, are going to be able to pull all of those things right off of the bat. And while I believe that all of that may be in there, I mean, I mostly just get like caramel. It's definitely not very floral. I do get pastry. There's definitely some pastry in there. But, I mean, no. Just... I mean, there's a line. And some distilleries will kind of step over the line a little bit. Barrell tends to jump rope with the line. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but for people that don't necessarily have a grip on taste, you're going to overwhelm them. And I think that tends to be the case here. So on a palate, rich and nutty, cocoa butter supports ample macadamia nut, nougat, tonka bean. Orange blossom honey and apricot are joined by more exotic notes of rose, loganberry, and sumac. So what's interesting here is you do get a little bit of the honey. You definitely get the rich and nuttiness. I would say even a little bit of the nougat. Those you definitely do get. It's a little bit more of a simplified description compared to the nose, which I can appreciate. There's still a little bit of complex flavor in there that they're trying to identify. But the taste is very complex. The nose is a little bit more simplistic, but the taste is very complex. I do get some of those things. I wouldn't necessarily call it orange blossom honey. For me, I get like true wildflower honey, like pure all organic honey that you would get like if you went to that local farmer's market stand. That's kind of the honey taste that I get. I know that that's very specific. I don't typically go that specific into my tastes, but that's like what I identify most clean and simply in here. And then on the finish, the blackberry note from the nose returns alongside elderberry, quince paste that evolve into lingering spicy notes of cocoa nib, anise seed, and raspberry leaf. Okay. Again, the specificity is a little bit over the top. Raise your hand if you know what raspberry leaf tastes like, because I sure don't. Especially considering raspberries are one of my favorite fruits, you couldn't pay me enough money to be able to tell you what a raspberry leaf tastes like. And so it just, for me, it doesn't make sense. You're trying to identify tasting notes and flavors that most of the world is not going to be able to identify with. If you were to taste this and say, wow, it's really good. A little like honey, powerful flavor, it's bold, it warms you. You get a little bit of fruit, but not overly floral. It's got a dry, bold taste, maybe a little bit of chocolate or nougat, but true, like, bourbony, light, bold finish. Okay, fine. If I were to do a tasting with this bourbon, I would say it's an exceptional bourbon. I really thoroughly enjoy it. I would recommend doing a tasting with this. I would bring it out if I were hosting a tasting. But I would not use Barrell's tasting notes, because I I would just overwhelm people, and they get focused, hyper focused on things that they're trying to identify that they're just never going to be identified. I mean, you're not going to be able to identify milkweed in the nose. You're just not. So do with that as you will. I definitely do think that this opens up with a little bit of water. You do get some different notes in there that are very enjoyable. If you've never experienced putting a drop or two of water in your bourbon, definitely try it out. It's a whole new world. It opens up a ton of different stuff. So definitely try it out. So that's 21. And I really enjoy it. It is one of my favorite bourbons from when I first started getting into bourbon. As you can tell, not a ton of it's been drunk. English wasn't my strong suit, as you can tell by me stumbling over my words. And so I've been holding on to it. I don't mix with it. I kind of hold true and drink a little bit at a time, because I really do enjoy it, and I don't know if I'll be able to get another bottle of it. So I'll be right up front, $89. Barrell Bourbon is really, really true to their costs. They're pretty much the same price no matter where you go, whether it's third party or their website. $89 for their batch releases is standard across the board, and it's one of my favorite things about them. Their markups are non-existent. They're true. Even their vault releases, same thing, $89. I'm a big fan of that. Definitely recommend it. So with that being said, let's move on to number 26, and then we'll compare. So, I'm going to lose you for a sec while I click over. All right. So, batch 26, which I have... Oh, wow, look at that. The sun went away, and it's nice and clear. So, batch 26. Focus. There it goes. Batch 26. So, I'm going to give it a little pour real quick, and we will try. Perfect. You know, one of the nice things about this camera is the quality of the camera, but the autofocus feature leaves a little bit to be desired. It's a little bit slow. So I'm sure that pour was a little bit blurry, and I apologize. Not much that I can do about it until I get a nicer camera, but I can't really afford one. So, all right, batch 26. So right off the bat, a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, same as 21. White oak barrels, same as 21. 112.64, so a pretty stark increase in the proof. So, again, won plenty of awards. Barrell wins a lot of awards. They're impressive that way. So, let's try it. Okay, now I remember. Definitely bringing back some memories. Okay. So, flavor notes. Again, you're more than welcome to read this. I'll include the link below. So they're calling the appearance pumpkin pie. I would call it more amber, but to each their own. Color's a little bit subjective. The nose, immediately bright and fruity, smell of white peach, creamy coconut, and prickled rhubarb, followed by dried or cooked fruits, amongst them golden raisin, candied grapefruit peel, and roasted red pepper. Pungent florals are intermixed, notably rosehip and meadowsweet. As one's nose adjusts, richer, sweeter notes of beeswax, toasted almond, and tiramisu arrive. They sit on top of a dust of allspice, spearmint, ginger ale, and charcoal. So as I said before, just way too much description. What's interesting, the description is completely different, which kudos to them. They're not copying and pasting. Not that I would expect that, but definitely nice to see not a single overlapping description. Now, that's a good and bad thing. There are many people out there in the bourbon industry that get sort of what's the right word? Sort of, I can't think of the right description. Every bourbon starts to taste the same, and when you include so many different descriptions, it can get a little bit redundant for some people. It's like, come on, for me, it just tastes the same. I don't feel that way. I try and identify all sorts of different flavors in my bourbon, not necessarily to this extreme because I think it's a little bit over the top, but there is a clear and stark difference between these two bourbons. So, palate. A bit brash, but well balanced with only modest tannin. Initially, the flavor is dark and complex on molasses, black cherry soda, and root beer barreled candy. The palate is rounded out by slate, salt, green apple, and a little horseradish. I mean, sounds like a good meal to me, but, that being said, I get a little bit more pepper to it. It's got some kick. I would say definitely a dark description is accurate. You do get a little bit of that root beer kind of taste, but it's dark, it's deep, it's pepper, like ground black pepper, and definitely dark flavors. It's not light and jumpy like the 21. Finish. Advance the cooked fruit theme put forth by the nose, cycling through candied grapefruit peel, grape jam, cardamom, and allspice. It fades with mineral tingle of iron and wood smoke. Now, something that Barrell does fairly well is that the nose matches the finish. The palate does not. Their tastes do not. They're very different from the finish and from the nose, but the nose and the finish do match fairly well in terms of the experience that you're going to be having. This was not a long finish like the 21, which is surprising because typically when you have those darker, more complex flavors, you get a longer, deeper finish, especially on a high proof like this. So that is, to me, that's fascinating. Let me try it again. Yeah, much quicker finish. So again, you can read about adding the drops of water, what tasting notes those bring out. So, what do I think? What do I compare? Two very different bourbons. Right off the bat, I can tell you which one I prefer more, but I'll save that for in just a minute or so. The 26 is much darker. It's deeper. It's more complex. It's got, sort of that pepper power behind it, whereas the 21 is lighter, vanilla, honey, sort of like sunshine and rain comparatively. It's not necessarily a description of which kind of flavors I like more. It's more of just an understanding of the different flavors and which one I think personally tastes better. And for me, it's the 21. The light flavors definitely mingle better together. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the light flavors that mingle together better. I like a deep, long finish. Whereas the dark flavors and the short finish for me I don't like a short finish in my bourbon, especially at a high proof. It feels like I'm getting cut off and I'm not getting the full experience. It's not to say it's not a good bourbon. I do. I really enjoy it. And I will drink it. As you can see, more of it, I've drank more of it than the other one, than the 21. And I like pretty much everything that Barrell makes. I think they have a really good quality product. They have a really good grasp of mixing in order to get the sort of flavors that they want. as evidenced by the amount of awards that they've won over the course of their existence. But for me, batch 21 just takes the cake. I really enjoy it, and it's kind of as simple as that. Barrell is a little bit harder to get where I am. You can get certain things directly through them, which is nice. I believe it didn't take all that long to get here. I think it took about 3 weeks to get here when I ordered it in 2021. And for me, that's awesome. I like distilleries that ship directly. It's a little bit more complicated for them. It brings on some things that they might not necessarily want to do. But for me, it's a big win because I know I'm getting the price that I'm supposed to be paying. And Barrell definitely takes home some credit for that. So, with that being said, I will be doing a review and comparison of batch 20 to 21 at some point here. That just means drinking more of it that I don't necessarily want to quite yet. But with that being said, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you tried them yet? Would you try them based off of what I'm saying? And yeah, so as always, enjoy, drink safely, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.